In summary, for those who have not seen my previous videos, I posted a video titled Delco 13 about Grove Police Chief Mark Titties Morris posing for a photograph displaying his credentials and firearm in a city he had no jurisdiction, while groping a woman in her underwear so hard that the folds of her flesh bunched up under his hand and pinning his head against hers. A local patriotess in her 70s asked Fire Chief Mike Reed, a former Delaware County deputy, what he thought about my video on Chief Morris's illegal and sexual misconduct. This elderly woman was not Chief Reed's friend, and he had absolutely no reasonable expectation of privacy concerning his answer as a public official. He had no reason to believe she was not my close friend, or that she would not share it with me, which she is and which she did. Instead of giving her a no comment response, or at least condemning the appearance of misconduct, Chief Reed called me an idiot. The patriotic woman replied that she had read my book and that I backed up everything I had said. Fire Chief Reed continued by implying that Hooters and Twin Peaks, both known as restaurants in the restaurant industry, were family-friendly places. Remember that before exposing your children to Chief Reed. Chief Reed claims I forgot to mention that, as though it would change anything if Chief Reed had committed his sexual and criminal misconduct in a family-friendly business, which of course he did not. Then Chief Reed states that he would not behave as Chief Titties did for fear of being put in Titties' situation, being caught and exposed. Then Chief Reed makes the outrageous implication that it would be somehow better or okay if Chief Titties was on official business when he engaged in his sexual and criminal misconduct. Finally, Chief Reed states that he hates people who skew the facts to meet their agenda without ever stating how I skewed facts or what he thought was my agenda or how any skewing of facts, were that even possible, met my agenda. Chief Reed closes his opinion as a City of Grove public official by telling this elderly Christian woman that I discredit myself with this type of, quote, bullshit, unquote, again without ever specifying the, quote, bullshit, or how it discredits me or my message. Who is one of my closest friends in Grove, of course, shared Chief Reed's official position with me, knowing that, of course, it would have hurt my feelings as her friend had she not. Chief Reed then retaliated by first calling the elderly Christian lady a, quote, crappy individual, unquote, then by intimidating her by insinuating he is going to sue her. As one of Chief Reed's friends, and he has many, just not as many as he did a week ago, and many of the ones he still has think a lot less of him than they did a week ago, one of Chief Reed's friends publicly posted that he had known Chief Reed for 30 years. Reed was a class act and a stand-up guy, and that he had never seen him disrespect or cause harm to anyone. I answered the above friend of Chief Reed's. The reason he believes that Reed is a stand-up guy and a class act is exactly because of what the friend said. He's never seen him disrespect or cause harm to anyone. Well, now, that man has seen both, and so have you. Chief Reed disrespected me by calling me an idiot for exposing his friend, Police Chief Titties Morris' crimes, and he disrespected an elderly Christian woman by calling her a crappy individual. He hurt her by intentionally inflicting emotional distress on her as a public official and chief of the fire department that responds or won't respond if her house ever caught.
Well, we take our liquor, so we make speed. We came out there, we go weed. We do our best to avoid the law in the dry counties of Arkansas.